So as I was talking to people, I normally, in my discussions with people, I have seen that everybody has a right way of doing things. So when people do anything, they believe that they are right. And there is nothing wrong in that. Because at the end of the day, whatever you think or whatever you believe, you act accordingly. But when you don't get desired results, you just need to be a little careful about that. You can always change those thinking and feelings immediately when you change the way you think and the way you feel, the way you act. And I'll tell you in today's program that how quickly you can do that, how simple steps can help you to do that. And here we will understand your flexibility of your mind. We'll understand that how it works. So all good to go. So let's start and understand a couple of things through this webinar today. And then we'll take some questions if there are any on this program. Okay. So a simple and a very quick introduction. My name is Arun Dukral. I come from a pharmaceutical and a marketing background, selling background, and I'm into the field of recruitment. I'm into the field of content development, coaching, training. Is all these things have been my passion, and I'm into this line for last 7 to 8 years now, and with an overall experience of close to 2 decades plus. So this is what I am in a very brief note. And without mixing any point, I just want to share that this program Between You and Success is something that I believe very strongly that it's even in the picture that you see, that there is a strong iron rod that is tied to your leg. Is clearly that is something in your mind. There's nothing like that. It's all in the mind. And if you're not able to come out of it, you will remain stuck. And we will understand that how people remain stuck for a long period of time and why they are not able to achieve what they are really aspiring to achieve. This is what we are going to learn in today's this. Now, for those who are coming for the first time or those, and this is for me as well, to repeat it as much as I can. This is basically a simple area. Okay, sorry. So this is about a simple reason that why I'm doing this program, this coaching call. It's simply my mission to reach out to 1,000 people to make a shift from aspiration. Aspiration means that you want to be something like this. So from you want to be to you be there, you be there. This is something that this entire program is all about, that how you become an inspiring leader for others. So to do that, to become an inspiring leader, you need to live the purpose for which you are here. Like for example, here my mission is that I want to help people to grow themselves. That is why my firm name is Human Capability Network. So the whole idea is how I can help people to do better their job and make that little difference that can help them to do things a little faster. And it is possible, it is doable. And I have seen people who have undergone my sessions, they have told me categorically that they can see a huge difference in the power of doing more, giving more, and learning more. I once again request people to please keep their buttons on a mute so that it is a disturbance-free meeting for others. So this is a simple and a very, very powerful mission that I have found for myself. And it simply helps me to connect. It simply makes me move every time. Every time when I get, I would say, I get distraction, I get distracted. This mission brings me back that why I started all this, why I left my job. The whole idea was that how I can help more and more people from whatever I have gained in my experience. So this is the reason that we are all here today. Number two, it all begins with you first by making an innermost shift. Now, if you are not ready, nothing will happen. So I was reading there was a Chinese quote that says that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I totally agree with you, because I've seen people coming back to me after 6 months, after 1 year, after 2 years, and they realize that that there is something that they are really missing out, and they have come back and they have really made a difference after going through certain programs that I run. And when I say innermost shift, what is innermost shift? Innermost shift is nothing but the change that you experience through these programs is not temporary. It's permanent. But as long as it begins with you first, if you are ready, then everything is possible. If you are not ready, nothing will move. Nothing is possible. So what is innermost shift? Because I'll give you an example that somebody asked me. So when you go for a movie and you like a particular movie, you get a lot of inspiration. Or sometimes when you meet some seriously outstanding people, successful people, when you are in the company of such people, you feel really charged up. You feel inspired, and you also feel that there is something in you, and you also would like to be somewhat like them. And when you are filled with that inspiration, when you're filled with that energy, you come back home and you try and do certain things the way you learned in that movie or after meeting that person. And what happens after a few days? You remain where you are. Nothing moved much. As second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, seventh day, 15 days or a month pass, you go back to the original points where you started. Why that happens? Because we are not able to bring that change, we are not able to adapt, and we go back to the same old states because we remain stuck and the same thoughts run over and over. But when you go through this experience of innermost shift, this gives you a longer lasting belief, and your habits will start changing. And this is what all about innermost shift that I work with people on this platform. Okay, moving quickly, this is all about the entire program because people who are coming here for the first time. Then I talk a lot about my inner resources. Now, what are these inner resources? So when you try to do something and you are not successful, it clearly shows that you have to try out something else, or you have to repeat, or you have to change the way you are working. But what happens when you face a failure? So most of the people, when they face failures, they get stuck because they feel that they take it personally. First of all, they take it personally. They feel that they are like that. For example, people say that I'm always late, or ye musse nahi hoga, I can't do this. So when they say that, they literally associate that to themselves. And when you associate that to themselves, you start telling yourself that you are like this only. And when it comes to trying new things, when some things are not working, you have to try new things. When you try new things, you don't have that courage, you don't have that confidence to try that. And to have that courage and confidence, you need to work on your inner resources. But unfortunately, whenever you are stuck, whenever you are not sure what to do, you are not able to find these inner resources, which was always there within you, always there within you. And you go from place to place, you meet different people, you take different advices, and later on you realize that you're not moving forward. You're somewhere, you're stuck, because we forget, our entire potential, our entire things are lying within us. Now, what are these inner resources that I'm referring to? These inner resources are faith. You believe in yourself. You don't have to go anywhere. The faith is always within you. The courage is always within you. The optimism is always within you. The honesty, the integrity is always within you. The compassion to help people is always within you. Humor is always within you. Forgiveness is always within you, and freedom is always within you. When everything is there within me, am I able to read that out? Am I able? And particularly when I'm not in that state, I we forget where they are. Number one, and number two, how to read them, how to read that access. And I say that this is what we call as muscles of your soul. And if the muscles of your soul are strengthened, you can come out of any tough situation, any bad situation, any fearful situation, any stressful situation that you are in. Because when you look at successful people, outstanding people, it doesn't mean that they don't get stuck. They do get stuck. It doesn't mean that they don't fail. They do fail. But how do they quickly come out of it is because of this. They have a very good control on these muscles of their soul because they keep exercising these muscles very often. So this is something I would say, this is the recipe of being successful. If you know how to take control on these areas, you would be definitely more in control. So this is the whole idea about this inner resources. I always use this slide, and I keep looking at this slide whenever I also get distracted. This literally helps me in a very, very simple way to come back to us. But as I said, like I always say that our mind has three parts. One is called the conscious mind, second is subconscious mind, and then third is the unconscious mind. So conscious mind is something which is always empty, which is just 10% of your total mind structure. So whatever you receive information you get from here. Then subconscious mind is something that has happened in the past, but you can recollect it. It's like a file in your computer which is lying inside a folder. So you go to a folder or you go to a subfolder and you can get that information. So for example, if I'll ask you, tell me where were you last Sunday, you can immediately think and tell me where were you. If I'll even ask you, okay, what was the color of the area that you were in, or what was the person that you were with, you might take some effort and you can just find that out. Now, this is what we call it as subconscious mind. But then, like your computer, when you try to access certain files, you get a message that you don't have access. Only admin can have that access. Precisely, your unconscious mind is like that. It also has, it doesn't allow you to have the access, and that is where you need support. You need support of a coach who can help you to access your unconscious mind. Now, what does this unconscious mind holds? It holds everything, right from your toddler age till the time you became adult, you became older. All experiences get accumulated there together. All your traumas, all your happiness, all those moments. Right now, even whatever I'm speaking and whatever you are listening, something inside you is telling whether Arun, whatever he's speaking, is it making sense to you, or it is all nonsense. So how does that comes? It comes from the interpretation that you have gathered over the years through your experiences in your unconscious mind. So, but when you want to really access your unconscious mind, you don't have the access. You may reach out still to some parts, but you may not be able to reach out to the larger parts. And that is where when you want to reach out to these resources, you get stuck. So you need to practice this. It will only come by practice. And in my coaching practice, I help a lot of people in terms of practicing this particular piece in giving them this idea. Okay, I think this computer stick has just once. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on and understand a couple of things. So another question is that I wanted to share today why people remain stuck. Now, why people remain stuck is because, as I said, that as human beings, we have got two very important problems as adults. One, either we remain in the past or we remain in future. When we remain in past, we keep thinking about the past events and the guilt that you have because of those past events. You always talk about. So I recently met one of my coachee, and I was talking to them. After listening to her for 15 minutes, I only listened few things, that how her relatives, how her nearbys have ditched her in her life, and how that because of that ditching, she was suffering. I was just listening that. She was completely in the past. Or in the next 15 minutes, when I asked her, so what is worrying her? So she was all talking about uncertainties in terms of whether she will be really able to do anything, whether it will be possible that her business will be fine. Now she has been ditched by her relatives, her own very close friends, how they have used her. Or so the whole idea is either she was in the past or she was in the future. She was either worried or she was completely uncertain about how things are going to happen. And when it comes to present, she was not at all there. And when I said that, what do you think about yourself now? And she said, I'm worried. And precisely, you're worried because you're not too sure about your future. You are always worried about your past. So this is how, most of the people remain in this thought process day in and day out. And as I had mentioned in one of my blogs, that, there is a law of negativity. You attract all those negative things towards you when you are in that state. And you love to be in the company of those people who talk more negative, because you feel that this is where you share your problem with the other person who also thinks similar to you. Okay, I'm just adjusting my stick. Okay, so what are the symptoms that people are stuck? Number one, uncertainty. This is the most common worry of all of us. We are not too sure what is going to happen next. And the more we remain in uncertainty, the more are the chances that we do not know how to operate ourselves. So this is one of the very important reasons that why people remain stuck. Number two, problem people company. So as I said, when you are uncertain, when your past is haunting you, and you are remaining in the past memories which are not good, what eventually is happening is that you are basically, you love to be in the company of people who are problem, who always talk about problem, and they will tell you, yeah, yeah, exactly, this also happened with me. Yeah, this is very common. It's not like your relatives have dished you. It is my relative. I also went through the same thing. And then you feel very cozy about such people. So the more you remain in that company of such people, you will eventually remain stuck. Okay. The next is avoid hard work. They are the people, because when it comes to hard work, they don't want to do any hard work, but they will always complain about why things are not happening, how things are not happening. And the more they avoid this hard work, they remain stuck. Next is unrealistic expectations. So many a times when people want to achieve something big, they have unrealistic expectation. What does it mean? It simply means that you wish that you can win a big lottery, or you will be easily able to buy a big house or a big car. They remain in a fantasy world, and they have completely unrealistic expectation. And when they are in those kind of expectation, and when those expectations are not met in their real life, they remain stuck. They don't move forward because they don't know how to come out of it. The next is they have self-doubt. They don't know how to go about, because they always doubt their own capabilities, because they are not sure whether they have those capabilities to really win over it. And they remain in constant pressure. You talk to them, they're always running. It's like firefighting for them. They're always running here and there to find solutions to their problem. And last but not the least is they have lack of faith in themselves. That is what I was saying. They don't believe in themselves. They have always doubt about themselves. So when you doubt yourself, now these are the very clear sign and symptoms of people who are always stuck. Now my question to you, very simple question to you: how many of you have ticked how many problems that I've written over here? How many ticks you have? Can you just tell me on your chat button if you have understood this piece completely? So this will also tell me that whether you are actively participating or it is just a one-way site. So I just want to know that how many of you have a tick over this? Yeah. How many of you are in this kind of a phase most often? Anybody? Use your chat buttons, those who are coming here for the first time. Or do you really correlate this? If yes, you correlate with this, just type yes. It will just give me an idea. Okay. Thanks, Supriya. And welcome to the program. Okay, yes, 3 of them. Okay, wonderful. Be honest, this is for you only. If you are, then just write how many of the ticks that you have. 2. Okay, wonderful. Just identify wherever it is. There is nothing wrong. I also remain in some of them, but as we all know, that if we are in those kind of things, we just need to learn how to come out of it. And if you know how to come out of it, you go into that part which I just shared. That is your soul. That is the muscles of your soul. And if you know how to exercise and build the muscles of your soul, you can definitely easily come out of this stage. You may go again, because situations don't come by giving you any answer or solutions. They keep coming because that is what we say, uncertainty. But the point I'm trying to say is you need to learn how to come out of it. Okay. Now, why people cannot come out of it, we will understand that in greater detail. As thanks for all your inputs, and thank you for being honest, because one of the major reason is that if you are into this stage, you need to definitely come out of it. You should learn how to come out of it, because that is how the benefit of this coaching call, that is how you will learn from various resources how to come out of it, right? Okay, now to explain this, why that happens, let me share with you a very, very important part. Okay. Yeah. So, okay. When I say the map is not the territory, okay. Now, what happens? Okay, great. Thank you, Vinny. So when I say the map is not the territory, now what does it mean? So let's say that if I go to a place, so Chandigarh is very famous of beautiful city when it comes to carving out these sectors. Very, very planned city. I think this is the only planned city that we have in India, which is still as an example. So when I go to any planned city, what do? I look at the map and I find my place where I have to go. I just choose the directions and I reach there. How simple it is, right? But the map is not the territory. What does it mean? It means that that particular area or map that small portion that I chose to reach a particular space is not the entire Chandigarh, or it's not the entire territory. Now, let me explain you a simple analogy to make you understand this point. So let's say you 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 reached a new place for the first time for your job, as an example. Let's say you are from Delhi and you landed up in Bangalore, and you learned that this is your new office, and you have taken a place near to that office. And initially, after trying different routes going to the office, you were able to identify one route that was the most easy, simple, and the way to go. And you know now that this is the route, this is the best route that can take you at the shortest possible time. It's easy to go, it is of less traffic, and you are able to do it. And what happens, like you, there are more people who join in, and they also found that it was easy route, simple route, short route to reach their respective offices. And what happened? Over a period of time, the road got crowded. All of a sudden, the road got crowded after maybe after a few months or a year, whatever the situation may be. So the situation looks something like this, which is coming on your screen. The situation looks something like this. And while this situation was reached, of course, the government and the authorities work, they create sub roads near to that. They create some connecting roads also to this road, because as the traffic will increase, you will find that every time there is some development work is going on, and they create some additional roads towards it. Now, some drivers, some people who are into this traffic, they realized, they updated their routes, and they found the new connecting routes. And when they found the new connecting routes, some people learned that there is a new route which is coming, and they started taking the diverted route, the new divergence, and they created a new path to reach their objectives or the place that they want to. While most of them, the other people or other drivers, they were going on the same path. And as they were going on the same path continuously, they were completely stuck. Because what happened, over a period of time, the workers now decided to come to dig this road, which is the main road, and they want to build something on that and create a better road out of it. And this kind of traffic jams started becoming a big problem. But what happened to these other Charlies? They knew what is the road, they updated their maps, and based on those updated maps, they explored the whole territory, the full territory. And because of which, they are now enjoying the journey. They are really enjoying the journey as they are supposed to be. So my question to all of you, what have you understood out of this? If I have been able to give you the complete understanding, what is your understanding when you see these two pictures, when you see on the left and when you see it on the right? What does it give you? Comments, please. Yeah, so thanks to your old ways of doing new things. Yeah, what else? What comes to your mind? What analogies it gives you? Take 30 seconds, take your time. What this tells you. Okay, thanks Naveen. Innovate? Yeah, absolutely. We need to keep exploring the unexplored. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks. So by the time we get other comments, so very simple answer to this particular piece is that the more you are able to, sorry, the more you are able to upgrade yourself, you would realize that there are other ways of doing the same thing differently, as some of you have written over here. So the map is not the territory. That's very clear. So the territory needs to be explored because there are ways and means to go. I was today. I was last 2 days. I've been taking some sessions. I'll just share with you. Okay, yeah. Thanks when it changed the time. And knowing the unknowing, we tend to take the easy way out and be comfortable. Yeah, absolutely. And later on, we get stuck. So I conduct a program called Break Your Own Rules. And I was talking to some of the senior leadership team of one of the companies where I was coaching the last 3 days continuously. These were all home sessions, and we were talking all about that calls break your own rules. And the analogy about break your own rules is something similar to this, because we all have rules in our life, and those rules have given us success. That means wherever you are is because of some rules that you have set in your life. But over the years, what happens? The rule remains, but the intent of that rule is lost. And because of that, intent is lost. An intent which was made 5 years, 10 years, 20 years back, they are still with you. And because of that intent, the rule just gets stick to your body, in your mind, and you still believe this is the only way to do things. And that is where you get stuck. You don't innovate, you don't create, and then on your left hand side you are stuck in a traffic. And that's what I was telling those people, in my call, that people, when they are in that kind of a phase, what happens to them? They uh, they feel, the job is very monotonous. It's very boring to work here. There is no challenge in this job, there is no challenge in this work. And when they are in that kind of a state, they feel that it's time to quit and go to a new company. And when they quit and they go to a new company, let's say for 3 months, 6 months, or up to 1 year, everything looks very rosy, very good, very nice. But after some time, those things still come out. And when those things still come out, they feel that, probably they made a mistake when they shift, or probably that this is again the same problems are haunting them. This is because precisely of that they were not able to come out of their roots. And I'm sure some of you may have been in the same situation. Whereas some outstanding people, some smart people like this on this group, they innovate and they move out, or they move up, and basis which they are going to they make a difference and they move up very fast. And after we completed that exercise, I'm just sharing with you, they were absolutely amazed to see that in their own work, in their own jobs, there are so many things to be done. Something that at least two of the six people said that they are very sure that, that they are going to do, that they just want to go to the boardroom and they want to start working on it. Yeah. So thank you, Brajesh, for your comment that it's like we do it this way kind of approach and we get stuck because of that. Wonderful. Uh, okay, so that brings me to a simple test. Now we'll take a simple, uh, a small, but a simple understanding that what's your mindset. So let us understand your mindset. I was just searching on some articles and I got this one simple test, and I want you to do it for your own self. You don't have to tell me the score. Tell me what did you get. You can tell me privately. That's a different case. But the whole idea is that you just note down, take a pen and a paper or a copy or a pad with you, and you will get some questions on your screen. And there are some simple answers. I'm sure in your career, in your path, you must have done it many times. So you just have to rate yourself. And there are 5 options that will come against each question. So you have to only understand whether you agree with that statement or you disagree or you don't agree or whatever. And basis which there are some scores given to it. So be very honest to yourself. I'll and give few seconds. The first thought that comes to you, you answer that. And there are around 7 or 8 questions that will keep falling. And after that, I'll tell you the scores and that will give you an idea. So that's a simple test that I want you to check your mindset. So you can check your own mindset. And this test is only to understand whether you have a fixed mindset or you have a flexible mindset. So as I say, be very honest. Don't look at these questions as ideal questions to be answered, right? These are not, or I would say, don't give an ideal answer to these questions. Give an answer what comes to your mind first and then check. It is a simple self-assessment test, and I want to run this today in this program. Okay, so here comes your first question. So I believe each one of you have a pen and a paper. If you're not, I'll give you maybe a few seconds plus. Please, I'll keep the question for 5 or 7 seconds, and then I will move it to the next question. If in case you miss out, I'll try to go back, but be cooperative, okay? Be attentive, I would say. Okay, so let's move. So this is your question number 1, and these are your answers, and these are your scores. So just focus on the question and rate whatever rating that comes to your mind. Okay, now let's move to I hope this is simple, and I'll just move to the next question. Uh, and your options are here. Okay, just do a simple mapping over here. Yeah. Then let's move to the next question. And these are your options. Yeah. Can I request somebody to please keep the phone on a mute? Somebody seems to have unmuted the line. Okay, I'm just muting it from here. Thanks. Okay. So give your ratings, and I'll just flip to the next question. Yeah. These are your options. Yeah. Yeah. This is your next question. I often get angry when I get feedback about my performance. These are your options. Be honest, give only few seconds and do it. And this is another question that comes. I appreciate when people, parents, coaches, or teachers give me feedback about my performance. Just rate yourself, be honest to yourself, and keep doing it. Yeah. Then comes our next question. Truly smart people do not need to try hard. And these are your options, right? Simple. Truly smart people do not need to try hard. Then you can always change how intelligent you are. Where is this? Okay. These are your options. Sorry. You can always change how intelligent you are. Just give your ratings accordingly, whatever you believe. And then comes the next question. You are a certain kind of person, and there is not much that can be done to really change that. And here are your options. Yeah. Okay. You are a certain kind of person, and there is not much that can be done really to change that. Move to the next. An important reason why I attend coaching webinars is that I enjoy learning new things. And these are your options. So I want you to quickly rate yourself on this and do it as fast as possible. And I want now, since you have answered all these 9 or 10 questions that are on your screen, I want you to just total the total score that you have got so far. Just total it. Take few seconds, few minutes, and just total it. And this is the score chart that I'm sharing in front of you. Yeah, this is the score chart that I'm sharing in front of you. Okay. So now what you do is you total it up. I'll just take a 30-second break and sorry. So this is something that is in front of you. Okay. And that will give you a simple and a clear picture by the time people do it. I want you to just calculate, and I'll be back in just 30 seconds. Yeah. So okay. So this is a self test, and wonderful people who, I mean, so you, this is your self test. and you would know that where you are and what you need to do. It's very simple. It's self-explanatory, and you know what you need to do. Somewhere you need to think about yourself, and this also tells you that you know where you are right now, and this will be like you know so there is nothing. This is all about who you are. So this is like as simple as that, as who you are, and you just now have to work on certain areas, look at those scores, and just work on it. Okay, so this is just to understand your mindset and just to give you a picture that how it works. Okay, okay. So was this useful? Was this useful? This activity, how did it go with you? Any experience, anything that you want to share? Just type it down on your chat box. Was this useful? Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. So, with this, you know, we can just learn that how we remain stuck and how do we come out of this, and what all things that we need to do. What all things that we need to do, because I touched on some very important parts in the beginning of the activity that we have to exercise our inner muscles, and if we know how to do that, we can easily take control on ourselves and we can work on achieving lot many things. Yeah, it gives clarity. Thank you. And let's move on. Okay. Now let's talk about fears. Okay. Now very interesting topic, because I wanted to check on it, because we all come under various kinds of fears that we have around us. Yeah. Okay. Now when it comes to fears, you know, so what I mean, do you all go through this? Do you all feel fear, or do you all get fear, or you get fearful in certain situations? Does it happen to you? And what kind of fears you have? Can you just throw some light? Just put some thoughts on the chat button. What kind of fears that comes to your mind? Yeah, just give your thoughts. Just blast this on this chat box, and let us understand what kind of fears that people have. Okay, so fear of failures, fear of insecurities, failure. So nobody wants to fail. Yeah, absolutely, because you don't want that, because inside whatever is happening inside you, you don't want to reflect that outside. And in that kind of a situation, you come to that situation that you don't know how to work particularly. So Raghav is saying you could be job security, kids career. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There are many things. Financial installment, from where my next EMI is going to come, or could be that whether I'll be clearing that interview, next interview that I'm going to give, or probably next month whether I'll be able to achieve my targets or not. So we all have different kinds of fears. So I'll just put some thoughts on this. Okay, just one second. It's just yeah, yeah, yeah. So now all of a sudden, a lot of things have started jumping on the screen. So number one, if you see loss of loved ones, this is something that we all fear in whatever that we do, uh, and these kind of fears can come anytime. Loss of jobs and financial security. I think particularly in India or in Asian countries, this is one of the most important fear, because when you look at if you go to Google and you write down the number one fear. So in American population, the number one fear that comes is speaking in public. So this fear is even higher than death, or even loss of even loved ones. So people fear when they have to go and stand up and speak in front of the audience. So this remains the number one fear in US. But in India, I think one of the major fear is that comes in terms of priority. Loss of jobs and financial security, embarrassment or ridicule. You don't want to get embarrassed, or you don't want to feel ridicule in front of others. Rejection and criticism of any kind. Now this is also another kind of fear that always kills us. It's like it's just haunts us. So something that you said, failure, it is very well correlated to rejection and criticism of any kind. Okay. And loss of respect, I think this is something of fear, because we tend to do everything in our work. We work for our self-esteem, because we don't want that somebody can let you down in front of anybody else, or in front of you yourself. And that is something that hurts us. And whatever we do in front of whatever we do every day, we get up and do. We say, more than money, I think this is something that I don't want. You don't want to lose your integrity. You don't want to lose your respect. You don't want to lose. You don't want to get embarrassed in front of people. So these are the fears that grows in our mind very often. And so, as I said, if you want to live, with fear, you cannot live without fear. So fear is going to remain a part of our life. But anything excess of it or anything without it is also bad, because if there is no fear, you know what is going to happen. People can ridicule anything in their life and anything that they want. But if it remains longer, you know what it is going to create: more anxiety, more tension, and more kind of stress in your mind. And this is what is something that, just one sec, I think I need to stop some video. Yeah. Okay. You can't remove. Can I request somebody? Yeah, stop video. Okay. So this is the kind of fears that we all undergo in whatever that we do. Anything that you want to add to this list, you're most welcome. I'll just wait for your comments. Or do you agree that this is the most common fear that we all face? Because if we don't come out of these fears, as I said, we remain stuck. We don't move forward. We remain in those kind of thoughts. We remain in that. So like, as I said, one of my client, which I spoke to her on Sunday, I believe, financial security was one of the major reasons that she had, because somebody has ditched her, her relatives, her friends had ditched her, and she was absolutely, the business is down, and they were not able to understand that how it is going to be. So they remain in past and they get stuck. So this is something that really hurts people. Now the question is that how do we move out of these fears? But prior to that, before we really get into from where to go out of this, the question is, where does fear arise from? Can anybody tell me from where does this fear arise from? Oh my God, somebody is saying that you are not able to hear me. Am I audible? Am I audible? That's okay, Amit. I think I got your message. I think you need to check your chat button or your buttons on the mute that you have. But am I audible? Just tell me, because am I audible? Okay, thank you. I'm audible. I'm visible and I'm audible. So thank you. So you need to check your settings. I'm quite audible. Okay. So tell me, somebody, can somebody tell me, where does fear arise from? So these kind of fear, how does this fear start building about us? Yeah. Okay. Within. Yeah. And how? Okay. Fear arises from preconceived notions, past experience. Very right. Absolutely. And what kind of past experience are these? What kind of past experiences are these? Yeah. What kind of past experiences are these? Any thoughts? Yeah, absolutely. Any bad experience, any failure, anything that comes, because this is where the fear arises from. Because if you don't know from where this fear arises from, you will not be able to address it. Because very importantly, you need to address the fear, because that is it's a God phenomena. Whenever you face fear, it's a God phenomena, because it gives you a strength also to prepare to fight that fear. But there's an analogy that I was reading in the book, which says that whenever that we come across fear, there are two kinds of fear. That one is a routine fear. Let's say your phone is not working while you are about to start your day, and you know that the fear will start setting up in your mind that what will happen, you will not be able to call, and that builds stress in your mind. And at the same time, there's a fear that somebody attacks your house. Let's say 20 people are going to attack your house. What will you do? You will either fight with them or you will run away from that place. So that means you will use the extreme step of managing your fear. Now, when you use this extreme step of managing your fear, it means that you are able to take fear head on. Now, what does it mean? It means that in our current way of living, in our current way of living, we are using this extreme step. we are using this extreme step very often, and due to which we are not able to take control on our emotions and we are bursting out very often. So how do we take control of our fear is something. So let's understand from where this fear arises from. Number one, past failures. So whenever you have past failures, uh, they will just keep coming in your mind and keep coming in your mind, and you're not able to take control. Number two, low self-confidence. So because of past failures, you have low self-confidence, and because of low confidence, you have past failures, or you tend to become more failure, and you are giving more air to uh, uh, more air to your confidences, your thinking, your feeling, your acting, your actions. They are all becoming weaker to win over your situations, and that is where fear supersedes your faith. And why that happens is very simple, because your out of control thinking can lead to out of control experience. So this can be seen both in the positive way, this can also be seen more into a negative way. So the more you keep thinking about the more you keep thinking about the negative way of doing things, the more you are going away from your performance. And I'm sure you would have seen that a lot of times these days the coaches are there in the sports arena who are helping their players to have a very controlled thinking, how to look at their opponent. Particularly when you see that on the badminton courts, what does the coach tells? The coach tells that how you have to think about the opponent and what do you talk to yourself both internally and externally, because a lot of time these situations need a lot of self talking, and what you talk to yourself makes a lot of difference. So how your thinking is there at that time is something that is going to decide how you are going to take control of your fears. Because as I said, everyone, each one of us is right in whatever they do. Why? Because the way they think, the way they feel, the way they act is correct, but at the same time the results decide whether that is correct or that is not correct. So if you really want to change the way you are thinking, the way your results will also change. So that brings me to the point that how to deal with fear. Can somebody tell me how to deal with fear? Yeah, can somebody tell me how to deal with fear? Take few seconds, no problem, take 30 seconds and just write down how to deal with fear. Okay, be positive. Okay, what else? That we always try, we always try to be, I mean, obviously we try to be positive. We tell ourselves that how to remain composed, focused, but we tend to lose our focus, we tend to lose our control. Yeah, so gather information, assess the situation and positive possible outcomes. Yeah, Brijesh, that's right. Okay, Raghav is saying try not to repeat the past failures, learn from them. Yes, absolutely, learning from failures is very important. Raghav, you have touched a very important point, and that says that when we are failure or when we are successful, or when we are successful we are dancing, we are enjoying because we are successful. And when we are failure, we take it to our heart, as if that is, you are always like this. But it is not the case. So in both these situations, you need to be curious. You need to be curious about why you were failed and why you were success. So let me read prayer to God of your understanding. Okay, self-belief, faith in ourselves, continuously learning. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of you are coming out with a lot of important things. But the first and foremost is that, let me put some light on this. The first and foremost area that you need to look at is how to deal with fear. And I would say that first you need to identify what you really want to achieve, because whatever you want to achieve is something very critical to you. Because if you have not decided what you want to achieve, you would not be able to reach those objectives that you're really looking for. So in other words, what I'm saying is you need to set your goals very clear. If your goals are very clear, what you really want to achieve, I think that is the first beginning point to address your fears. So many a times, as I said, uh, uh, I show you the first slide in my presentation is my mission. Now, my mission is nothing but my purpose. Now, when I'm clear about what is my mission and what is my purpose, it keeps me on track. It doesn't deviate me. Now, the point is what we have to look into the whole scenario here is that how to deal with fear. So first of all, if I have identified what is my goal, if I have identified what is my mission, I'm very clear that what exactly I'm on a journey to achieve. Now, friends, I can tell you right away, speaking to a lot of you on this program and earlier also to some of my coaches, the example that you saw on the screen about those cars, our lives are like that. We are goalless. We are just running behind others because we saw how others are moving and then we are following them. And when we are following like that, we are actually goalless. We are just going in the same direction where we are. But then, you know, people who are living their goals, the those who want to achieve something, they are very clear that how to go about it, and that is why they update and upgrade and they move to the right side. So coming back to the point, so first and foremost is you need to be very clear. If you have not written your goals, if you are, then you are not sure where you are heading to, and you will not land up anywhere. You will not land up anywhere. That I can tell you. So, so very important is how to deal with fear. Okay, I got few comments, so let me see those comments also. Okay, so could you please clarify what fear you're talking about? Okay, I'll tell you all those fears. Okay. I think I lost the canvas. Just one second. Okay. Sorry for this. There is some loose connection in this. So what we are talking about is when we want to deal with fear. So there are two questions. So if you are very clear about your goal, if you are very clear about what you want to achieve in your life, or you want to achieve anything that you feel, you know, you want to buy a car, you want to buy a flat, anything that your wish list is, it can be anything for that matter. So when you write that, I want you to, because generally what happens when you are ambitious and when you want to achieve, there are two things that are going to haunt you. You know, number one, you need to ask this question: what stops you from achieving this? Because a lot of people, when they want to achieve something significant, something big in their life, they don't answer this. What stops you from achieving this? Now, when you write this, and I want you to do this exercise after this call, whatever you want to achieve, you first write down, okay? Just first write down what is my goal, what do I want to achieve? Anything that you feel that you want to have a house, you want to have a car, you want to have a promotion, you want to have an increment, you want to talk to your boss about your problem, anything for that matter. So first you need to be clear what exactly you want, number one. Number two, to make that thing happen, just write down what stops you from achieving this. So somebody says, I'm short of funds because of which I can't buy a car. I don't have money that I can buy. So what stops you? You need to write down very clearly. Some people will definitely write down little more things, you know, that because your underlying needs are lying way below your wants and wishes. They are just underlying that. And I want that has to come out. So write down what stops you. If it is money, okay, write down money is one of the. So what is stopping you? You need to make a list. Number one. Number two, you need to make a list is what would happen if you did. That means what would happen if you achieve your goal. So there are, whenever you write down all these things, you actually are writing down your fears, because this is something that you are fearing to do. That is why you are not reaching near to your goal. So this will first of all bring very close to acknowledging what are the fears that you have. If you're not able to acknowledge the fears that you have, how will you start addressing those, or how would you deal with those fears? So write down what stops you and what would happen if you achieve it. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that I want to reduce my weight. Now, a lot of people say, what would happen if I achieve that? So if I reduce my weight, could be that I will miss out on my dinner parties. I would be missing out on some very important functions in my company when people go out for dinner. So I don't want to do that. So there's a simple fear in his mind that he will lose out on certain areas. So there are people who would say that even if I reduce weight, maybe my clothes will be out of my fitment and I will have to go. So so these are all fears. First of all, acknowledging the fears is very, very important. Of course, you need to remain positive, but first and foremost point in this series that I'm talking right now is you need to deal with fear. You need to identify where is that fear. What is that fear actually? Many times we don't even acknowledge that fear. So this is the first and the foremost step that you need to take to acknowledge that fear, and basis which we will be able to understand that how to address it. So addressing will definitely come, but first is you need to identify what is your fear. Okay, I don't know. I mean, I'm getting a question. So probably you must have joined late. So we will come to this question later on now. So, okay, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I will address this more in detail in our next call. However, at this point of time, I want you to take few steps and I want you to write down your fears. What are those fears that will help you to identify through these simple questions? What stops you and what would happen if you achieve? What are your fears? If you are able to first list down what are your fears, your half job is done. And then we will go and understand that how to deal with those fears. Yeah. So if you have really gone through the entire like last 1 hour that I'm speaking, in nutshell, what I'm trying to tell is that how people remain stuck, how you can come out of that situation and you become unstuck by leveraging on the power that you have inside. And for that, you need to have a flexibility of mind. If your mind is flexible, if it is not locked, you are open to learn. As I said, if you really want to make a shift, you really, first of all, you really need to open your mind. You need to really look into areas that where you are stuck. If you're able to unstuck yourself and you're flexible, you're open. As I said, the teacher will come if the student is ready. So as you're open and ready to learn, you will get a lot of insights on these areas. And as I have been mentioning time and again, there are certain programs that I'm running which are helping people to get unstuck from a path, and they are not in the crowded zone. Now they have identified what is the additional road, a new road that they have, and they are leading a very, very successful path. And very soon, I'm going to bring them as my testimonials on this program. And I will bring them to share their experiences, that how those programs are helping them to change the way they were working earlier and the way they are working now. What kind of energy they are feeling. You are going to see and listen to those testimonials very, very soon. So if you have any questions, I'm bringing an end to this program. So if you have any questions, any thoughts, you can just drop me an email and I will definitely revert back to you with my answer. If you have any doubt on whatever we have discussed so far, I'll be more than happy to respond to it right away at this point of time. So take a minute and ask any question and let me see with this topic or anything that is bothering you at this point of time, I'll try and answer that. And I request if you come and join this program on time, you will not miss out that on what basis we were talking about, what was it all about. And anyways, this program is already getting recorded. So I'll be sharing the recording soon in the group and you all will be able to access it again. So any questions? Yeah. Okay, wonderful. So feel free, have a great week ahead. And I really thoroughly enjoyed talking to each one of you. In case if I missed out on answering certain questions, you have the access, you can reach out to me directly. You have all the access through Facebook media, social media, or on my WhatsApp. Feel free to reach me right down and I'll try and answer it to the best of my capacity. Thanks once again for joining me and be there next Tuesday. I'll be there definitely. And by that time, we'll be closer to Diwali and we'll have some nice celebrations. Thank you so very much for joining me today here. See you and